Okay, I hope you can see my screen now. Hello guys, welcome to the channel. If you know you struggle with finding your direction when you want to take your trades, then this video might just be helpful for you, right? Because no matter what you trade, no matter the strategy you use to trade, you still have to trade alongside the direction of the market, the overall direction of the market. If not, you most likely get stopped out from your trade and the rest. So that's what a lot of people ask me, how do you hold your trades for 3, 4, 5 days? It's because of what I'm about to show you now. So if this is something that you struggle with, just sit tight and let's jump into the video. So first thing first, I go to the higher time frame to look for the direction of the market. So for example, most of the time I just use the daily time frame. I love to keep everything simple and not complicated and the rest. So most of the times I love to use the daily time frame. So what do I want to see on the daily time frame? I just want to see what the market is doing on the daily time frame. So what do I mean by that? For example, if I go to my daily time frame and I can clearly see price giving me higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. Now, in this scenario, I'll continue looking for buys. If I go to my daily time frame and I see price doing something like this, I won't try to look for any sell. I won't try to oppose the direction of the market. I would just look for buys. And as we can see, if you understand market structure very well, once there is a break of structure, that's the same zone that price will likely come back to continue the buys. Just like in this scenario here, that's where price will pull back to continue the buys. Remember, we are on the early time frame here. So if I see this, I'll just map out these zones and probably wait for price to come back there, and then I would look for my confirmation on 1 hour time frame and I'll take my trade. So this is for an uptrend. If I come to the chart and I see price doing something like this, lower highs, lower low, lower highs, lower low, lower highs, lower low, lower highs, lower low, lower highs. So in this scenario, we can clearly see that price has been breaking structure to the downside and it's just going down. So price will most likely come back to the point at which it broke the structure to continue pushing to the downside. So this just means that whenever I come on my chart, I want to see what is happening on the daily time frame, so I can follow up what is happening on the daily time frame and I'll take my entry. So that being said, this is not the only thing I look out for when getting direction. You can also apply how you trade. I don't know how you trade, but for me, I trade market structure shift, double break of structure as well. So I can also apply that as well on my higher time frame. Let me show you what I quickly mean by that. Okay, so let me show you what I quickly mean by a market structure shift. Is an indication that the market is about to stop going to the current direction and move to the opposite direction. So let's assume we came to the chart and price is clearly giving us a series of higher highs and higher lows, higher highs and higher lows, and then something like this happened. This is a market structure shift. Price took out this low here. This leg took out this low. If you notice, price was maintaining all the lows, but immediately this leg took out this low, a market structure shift had just occurred at that point. Now this is for a buy a sell scenario in case you want to sell. So let me show you what it looks like in a buy scenario. So assuming I come to the chart and I can clearly see price giving me lower highs, lower low, lower highs, lower low, and then something like this now happen. See, price was maintaining all the highs. There's a high here, there's a high here, there's a high here, there's one here, and it kept breaking all the lows, breaking this low, broke this low, broke this low, but immediately this leg took out this high. A market structure shift had just occurred. So I apply this as well in case this is what I can see in the market. I apply this as well when looking for my directional buyers. So another thing I also look out for is double break of structure. Double break of structure is, let's assume price was previously in a downtrend. Assume price was previously in a downtrend, and then a market structure shift now occurred. Then price came back and kept liquidity, came and triggered my POI, and we started moving to the upside. Immediately price took out this high while also taking out other existing highs in the market. Immediately this leg, that leg took out this high while also taking out other existing highs in the market. That is a market structure. Sorry, that is a double break of structure. That's a double break of structure. I hope you are getting it. Immediately price takes out a previous high while also taking out other highs in the market. Like this leg, now I can see that this leg clearly took out this high, even this high hiding behind, this high as well, even this one as well. Multiple break of structures or double break of structure, anyhow you want to call it. So immediately price does this on my daily time frame. I'll wait for price to come back to the origin, and I'll look for confirmation on my 1 hour time frame and continue the buys. I hope you are getting it. So let's do for a sell scenario. So price was giving us higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher low, higher highs, higher low, higher highs, and then this happened. A market structure shift occurred. Price kept liquidity, came back, triggered our POI, and is now selling. Immediately price takes out this high while also taking out other existing highs in the market. Sorry, this low rather. Immediately price took out this low while also taking out other existing lows in the market. A double break of structure just occurred over there. I hope that makes sense. Immediately price took out that low, this low, immediately this leg. Remember, price is now doing lower highs, lower low, lower highs, lower low. Immediately price took out this low while also taking out other existing lows in the market. A double break of structure just occurred over there. So I don't use this double break of structure for my entries in any way. I just use it to form my direction, to take my direction. So once I go to the higher time frame, I'll look at what the chart is doing. If it's giving me higher highs and higher lows like I showed you in the beginning of the video, or if a market structure shift has happened, or if a double break of structure has happened. Now once I see that, I would know what to do on my 1 hour time frame. So this is how I find my directional bias in the market. And because I'm using the daily time frame, the trade tends to last longer. The only difference between trading the higher time frames and lower time frames is just that your POI will get triggered very fast if you are trading the lower time frames, while on the higher time frames it will take a while or some days before your POI will get triggered. So let's quickly go to the chart let's quickly go to the chart. Let's see what's happening on the chart, so you can learn in real time as well. I think I need a clear chart for this. Let me check if I have a clear chart for this. This is just me marking out like all my zones that I'm waiting for price to react from, you know, so I can take my entry. But let me Coinbase. Can we use Coinbase? Let's use this KuCoin as well. Okay. Okay, good. So now we have a clear chart now. So in this scenario now, you can clearly see that price. Okay. From here, if you look at what is happening inside of these two trend lines that I just drew, you can clearly tell that price was in an uptrend here. Clearly, can clearly tell that price was in an uptrend because all the lows were maintained. This low was maintained. This one was maintained as well. Even this one, even this one, even this one. All the lows were maintained, and it kept breaking the highs. So, meaning that price is in an uptrend. Well, if I also want to draw from here down here, say from here as well, you can clearly tell that price was in a downtrend. You can clearly tell that price was in a downtrend because it kept giving series of lower highs, lower low, lower highs, lower low, lower highs, lower low. It kept just going down, you know. So you can clearly tell that price was in a downtrend. So let's assume all of this that is happening now was not there. And let's say we made the chart around this point. I will clearly be looking for sales because price is still overall price is in a downtrend. And if you look at what is happening here currently now, this mini trend that is happening here currently, you can also clearly tell that price is in an uptrend in this point because it's giving you a series of higher highs and higher lows. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so this class is not for beginners actually, so just be for people that know how to trade already. So now I don't just come and trade from anywhere when I come to the chart. Remember what I told you. Either I look for a market structure shift, double break of structure, or I just follow what the market is doing naturally. And I don't just trade from anywhere. I mark my zone and I wait for price to come to my zone and I take my entry. So I took a buy last month. Let's do a little analysis and then mark out the box. Usually how I just trade normally. So okay, let's use this example here. So price was clearly in a downtrend here, giving us a series of lower highs, lower low, lower highs, lower low. This thing that happened here now is a market structure shift. I hope you are getting it. This thing that happened here is a market structure shift, and it made that market structure shift happened. I wait for price to come back to the origin and then I take my entry. I wait for price to come back to the origin of the move and then I look for my entry on the lower time frame. In this scenario now, price already came back to this origin and has already tapped into the block safe. Even after tapping into the block, price has given another entry here Now let's see what happened on the lower time frame. I'll just go to 1 hour time frame. Those are the only 2 time frames I trade. I don't do anything outside the daily and the 1 hour. If I'm going to 30 minutes, 15 minutes or thereabout, it's just to refine my entry and the rest. So clearly, we look out for the same thing. We look out for the same thing when price. So like I told you, this is the 1 hour time frame now. So price has been in an uptrend after tapping into our block. It went out, and then price, a market structure shift has happened over here. Price was not breaking any of these highs, but immediately this leg took out all of these highs. Broke this high. I know I'm just drawing one long line, but it's, you know how price moves, higher highs and higher lows and the rest, but I hope you get the concept. So immediately this leg happened again. Remember that same thing that we look out for on the higher time frame. That's the same thing we look out for in lower time frame when price is in our zone. Immediately this leg occurred over here. I'll just wait for price to come back to that entry, to that origin, and I'll take my entry. So in this scenario now, price has come back to the origin. Even if you missed the entry, remember we're on the 1 hour time frame, so it's just going to be one long candle. But if you go lower, you surely see the movement. So here price was clearly giving lower highs and lower lows for sure. If we go lower, you would see it. And then a market structure shift happened. It took out this high here. Market structure shift happened. I told you. After then, I just wait for my liquidity. So liquidity can be one pullback, could be this multiple pullback. I like this example. This is a multiple pullback. But you already know that the entry is at the origin. So no matter what price does, if price doesn't come back to the entry, then I don't trade. Merely price came back to the entry, we took our buys there. And I took this buy for sure. Let's go back to the daily time frame. Let me show you some other scenario. Let me use a recent trade. I took this buy over here. You can check on my Twitter account, you would see the buy. So why did I take that buy? Because price was clearly in a downtrend over here. And then it actually shifted structure here. This is the daily time frame, so you won't see a lot of movement, but I understand the movement. So if you don't understand the movement, you need to go lower to find the movement. So it changed structure there and then it started going up. But I told you that immediately price gives us a double break of structure. Immediately price, immediately this leg took out this high, while also taking out all of these highs that were in the market. A double break of structure just occurred over there. Let me delete this. Immediately price this leg now took out all of these highs here. Remember, we're in a downtrend. Let me draw this trend line. Price was in a downtrend here. So price wouldn't have taken out this high if it wanted to keep being a downtrend. Price would have come here, rejected, maybe bounce again and then continue going down. But immediately it broke that high. That was a double break of structure. Now, like I told you, I don't just trade from any zone. Price has to be in a zone before I take my trade. So the reason I took these buys was because price was, you can clearly see that price is in this breaker block here. Price came to that breaker block. Now let's go to the 1 hour. This is my daily time frame. When I go to the 1 hour time frame, while price is at this zone, I want to see price doing something like this. Tap, break the previous high, keep liquidity, come back, and I'll take my entry. just look out for these guys. Just look out for this pattern. So this is all what I look out for before I trade while price is at my zone. So let me go to 1 hour now. What happened on the 1 hour time frame? Same thing I told you. Okay. So on this 1 hour time frame now, we can clearly see that price was in a downtrend approaching our daily zone. Higher highs, sorry, lower highs, lower low, lower highs, lower low, lower highs, lower low, lower highs, lower low, lower high. It could not now take the leg. Remember, if price wanted to keep going down, for sure it will break this leg. But price stopped here and then broke this structure. Broke here, broke here. Hope you can see it. Immediately that happened, a market structure shift that occurred there. Let me delete that. Immediately that happened, a market structure shift had just occurred over there. And easy, just take out, map my tool, map my entry, and put my long position and cover. Always cover the low. Always cover the last low in the market that you can see, because sometimes price can actually dance inside all of these zones. But if the zone is going to hold, then you don't take out this low. So always cover the low or the high that you've seen when you want to take your entry. Always make sure that it is covered. So I place my position there, and that was why I took these buys. All these buys that happened, I did a 1:10 on these buys actually. That was why I took those buys that happened. Let's do one more example. I don't want the video to be too long, so you could also backtest on your ends. You can do this on any pair of your choice at all. I decided just to trade only ETH because I do not have the cognitive capacity to trade a lot of pairs, so rather I took a loss. Yes, I